Hey, this is Troy. I am here to show you the steps within a transaction desk for doing a listing as well as working with a buyer. So this first video is just going to be a quick little walkthrough to show you the steps to get a listing up and running within transaction desk, to be able to add the proper forms, get those filled out correctly, and get them sent off to a listing client in Authentisign, for them to sign digitally and get back to you. Okay, so first step is you want to start a new transaction. So right here on the left, create a transaction. So you're going to click there. Here you're going to type in the name of your transaction. I typically here will put the address, so I'll just put 123 Smith Road. Okay, so that will let us know what the name of that property is. The type of this transaction is a residential listing, so we're going to click on that. We're not going to deal with this here, select source, because that's only going to be for when you're working with a buyer, so you can pull information from the MLS, but saying this is a new listing, it won't be in there. Add me as the listing agent, and then I go up here at that point and click create. So it is going to create that transaction. Okay, so our next step is to enter in the information on the listing. So first thing right here is you're going to enter in the street number, 123, and you're going to enter in the street name, Smith Road. You'll enter in the city. A lot of times it'll try and auto-populate for you. You can wait for it to do that or just type it in. I just like to type it in and then hit tab, and then it'll automatically take me to the next section. So the next Knox, then I'll hit tab to go to state, TN, and then I'll hit tab, and it'll eventually go down to zip code. It does this all the time because it wants to auto-populate for you. But then the same thing for the zip code. Tab out of that. Then you put in your subdivision. I'm just making this up. Smith Estates. Okay. You can put your lot number in if you want to. Up here at the top, I'm going to put property type. This is a residential property. It doesn't have an MLS number yet. You can enter in year built if you want. You can put your tax ID number in here if you want as well. So you enter all of that information in, and you can enter your list price if you know what that's going to be. Then after you enter all the information, you come up here to this check mark and you click that to save it. Okay, so that has saved your property details. That is step number one. Then step number two, and you want to make sure you do it in these steps or else it will not auto-populate the forms for you later. So the next step that you want to do is to go to contacts. And here is where you're going to enter in the contacts for this transaction. You want to enter in your sellers. So you're going to click on Add Contacts. You're going to click on Create a New Transaction Contact. The type is going to be the seller. So you're going to go down to Seller. Enter in the seller's first name, Joe, and we'll say Joe Brown is what we're going to put for his name, Joe Brown, and then you enter in his email address. So I will just put my email address in there, Knoxville, Troy. But you would enter their email address in at this point. And if you want, you can add them to your address book so they're in there for later in the event that you'll be using them, using Authentisign or Transaction Desk for them in the future. So once you have the seller's name in there, you'll go ahead and click Save. So now you have him saved as the seller. So if it's a husband and wife, at this point you'll go back and you'll click Add and do the exact same thing for the wife, or whoever else might be a party, a selling party here. So right now we're just going to have Joe Brown as the seller. We're in here as the listing agent. So we've got our contacts added. Okay, next step is we need to add our forms. So we're going to go over here to the right and we're going to click on Forms. All right, right now, because we haven't added any, there are no forms in here. So we need to go over here, click on Add, and then we're going to go to 2017 TAR Residential Forms. So we're going to click on that, and then we are going to find all the forms we need to list a property. So as we scroll down here, this is exclusive right to sell. We're definitely going to need that one. That's our listing agreement. So we're going to click on that, and you'll see that it adds it to the basket. Then we're going to scroll down a little bit more. We know that they're going to need to fill out a property condition disclosure if they are currently living in the home, or if it's an investor, they'll need the property condition exemption, but we'll say that this is going to be someone that is living in the home. So we're going to click on the property condition disclosure. We're going to add that. You can see that it added it to the basket. We're going to scroll down a little bit more. If the home was built prior to 1978, you're going to need to add the lead-based paint disclosure and click on that, but we're going to say that this one was not. We're not going to add that one at this point in time. Same for subsurface sewage disposal. If it's on a septic, you might need to add that. So this is where you add all the pertinent forms. So we go down, confirmation of agency. We know that that's one that we're going to need, and the disclaimer form, that's one that we're going to need. Okay, so we've got 4 forms in there. We're going to go ahead and hit the add button, and it's going to bring those 4 forms into Transaction Desk under this transaction. Okay. We're also going to need one more form, but it's in a different place. So we're going to go back to Add. We're going to click on Add again. We're going to go down here to KAAR MLS. We're going to click on that, and we're going to scroll down there until we get to SingleFamily Input form. We know we're going to need that to go have it put in the MLS. It's added that. We click on Add again, and now it's added that form to all our forms here. Okay, now we're going to go through the process of filling out our forms. So we can just kind of go right down the list here. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go in, click on Exclusive Right to Sell Listing Agreement, open up that form, and you'll see because we added the contact first, it auto-populates our seller's name into these forms, which is great. It's a great time saver. Okay, so at this point, you need to enter in the address of the seller. We know that that is 123 Smith Road, Knoxville, 37934. Okay, it automatically populated this because we put the address of the listing, which is great, so we don't have to put anything there. This is where you would put in if there's any other property that remains at no additional cost to the buyer. No, or any items that would not remain with the property. Say they've got some chandeliers that they want to take with them. This is where you would put it in here. Any leased items, here you would put your listing price in. So let's just say our listing price is $300,000. There you go. Auto populates that. Put in the listing date. We'll say the listing date is going to start tomorrow, and go for 6 months. Which would 6 months out would be November 23rd. So we're just going to go forward to November 23rd. Click on that, and then it puts that in. Carryover clause. I typically put 90 days. You can put whatever you like in there. Possession of this property is to be delivered. I typically put at closing here. Terms of sale, acceptable to the seller. You know, this could be anything from a new loan, conventional loan, FHA, VA, cash, or if there's anything else, if they'll do owner financing, you could put that in there as well. Compensation, put 6% or whatever you've agreed upon. I recommend 6%. And then down here, if there's going to be, if you think there's a possibility that it might get rented, you might want to put a number in here so you can get compensated for rent. Typically, my people are looking to sell and sell only, so in here a lot of times I'll just put NA because renting isn't an option. But you need to remember that anytime you have a blank like this, you definitely want to have something in there. So don't just leave it blank, put NA. You know, you could put NA over here as well. Actually, it won't allow you to put NA, so you can just put that. But NA will suffice because it's blank or blank, so NA, that just shows that. So down here is where we're going to put in our co-broke amount, so 2.4%. We're going to put that in there. And then same down here, even if it's somebody not from our MLS, it's an agent from a MLS outside of ours, we'll still be happy to pay them 2.4% if they bring a buyer. Okay. Then as we go down here, we're going to scroll down. And, you know, I'm not just blazing through here. We've read this before. We're just looking for where we need to fill this in for the seller before they sign. So as we go down here, here the designated agent for this seller. This is where you would enter your name because you are the designated agent that is being appointed by Gables & Gates or your agency. This is where you would enter whether or not the seller wants to put a home protection plan on the property. If they do, you would check here, put the cost of the plan and the plan company. Here you would check if they are waiving the home protection plan. Scroll down some more. Confidentiality, if there's something confidential, you can put it in there. If not, put NA. Exhibits and addenda. If you don't have anything additional to put in here, just put NA. That's what I typically do. Special stipulations, the same. If there's nothing special, no special steps, just put NA. Down here, it has gone ahead and entered our brokerage information, and it's entered the name of the seller, as well as their address and their email address. Okay, so down here, we are all good to go. We're all filled out. So now we're going to hit File, Save, Save. So once again, you go up here, File, scroll down here, Save, Save, and that has saved everything that's in our form. At that point, we can go back to File, scroll down to Exit, get out of there, and it will take us back to our forms. Okay, obviously you're not going to be able to fill out the Tennessee Residential Property Condition Disclosure because that is a form that is required to be filled out by the seller themselves, but you can use this to email it to them or print it out to give it to them at your next meeting. So you won't be filling that one out, but you will be printing it or sending it to them for them to fill out. Next would be confirmation of agency status. You could click on that. You'll see that it's already filled out the information because it's auto-populating that from the information we put in earlier. Down here, you come in, you check on designated agent for seller, and then you see that it's already auto-populated down here, ready for the digital signatures. So then we go up to File, we save the changes that we've made, good, back to File, and Exit. Then the disclaimer form. Go in there, click on that, make sure that it is auto-populated, which it has. Scroll down. Down here at the bottom, you'll see that it did not auto-populate it. It doesn't do that on this form down here. So here you're just going to want to put in the customer's name and then check seller. He is the seller. That way that's there. He'll know where to sign when you send that to them. File. Save, back up to File, exit out of that one because it's ready to go. All right, then we have the KAAR SingleFamily Input form. If you click on that one, it opens up. It's going to auto-populate with you as the listing member, the address, and then you will go through this form and start filling it out. It's a residential property. It's in the county. You can put your PIN code in. You just go through this step by step, filling all this information out in each of the blanks. And then if there's no blanks and there's a drop down, you use the drop down, property status NA unless it's a foreclosure. All that good information there that you fill out. Then you come down here, check off all the appropriate boxes. It's a detached home, traditional, is brick. You know, you're just going to go through all of this, check off everything that is pertinent to the house, and then if you have your room names and your room sizes, you can put those in here. That way when it goes to the people at the office, they will be able to fill it out or enter it into the MLS with all that information. It's auto-populated their name, and it's auto-populated your name as the listing agent. So then you're going to do File. After you've filled everything else out, you go File, Save, Save, and that is ready to go. Then you back File and Exit. Okay, so at this point, you have filled out all of these forms. They are ready for your client to sign digitally. So we want to get it into Authentisign and get it sent off to them. So here's how we do that. We go over here to the pencil, and remember it's 123 Smith Road. Okay, so we're going to go to this Authentisign right here. We're going to click on that pen. It's going to load up Authentisign, and we're going to go over to the far right here and Authentisign, and we're going to click Add. We're going to create an Authentisign, and we're going to create a signing name. Well, we know it's 123 Smith Road, and see, it'll actually pop that up there. So typically, I'll do 123 Smith Road, and then before it, I will just put listing docs 123 Smith Road, and then underneath here it says transaction. So you want to click on that, and we've just put all of our forms into the transaction under 123 Smith Road. So we're going to go down to that one. We're going to click on that, and then go to New Signing Checked, and we're going to go up to Save. It's going to create a new signing for us. The signing name is Listing Docs. Okay, we've got participant order, sign in line or SimulSign. Okay, I always do SimulSign. That way, no matter who gets their email first, whether it be the husband, the wife, you, whoever gets it can go ahead and sign. Now, if you need to have somebody sign an order, let's say you're sending it to a buyer and a seller, and you need the seller to sign first and then the buyers to sign after them, then you could use sign in line, and then the order that you put the participants in below is the order that they will sign. But if you're just sending it to the sellers and to yourself, it's easier just to do the SimulSign. So right here, make sure it's on SimulSign. Then you're going to go down to the next part here, which is participants, and you're going to hit that button right there. You're going to choose your participants for this signing. It will be yourself, okay, because you're going to be signing as the listing agent, and you want to make sure that you have remote signer clicked so it will send you the documents to sign. And then the seller, Joe Brown, he's a remote signer, so we want to make sure that that's right there is checked as well. So we've got our signers all set up. After you've got them checked off, you want to come up here to the right and click Add. There, now it's added yourself or myself as the listing agent, and it has added your seller. Okay, now after we have our participants in there, we want to go down here, click on Add again for the documents, and we're going to add the documents that we want to have in this signing. Well, we know we want all of these documents except the property condition disclosure, because he's not signing that, he's doing that separately. Or maybe he's done it already. So we want the exclusive right to sell, confirmation of agency, disclaimer notice, and the the KAAR SingleFamily Input form. We want those 4 to be signed by him. So we're going to check all those, go up here, click Add. It's adding the documents. There we go. It has added all those. Now here it is just having you verify that this is correct, that the seller 1 is Joe Brown, and that the listing agent is yourself. That looks, as long as that looks good, you go up here, you click Save, because that's going to map things out for you. Now we see we have all of our documents in here that are ready to be signed. Okay? If you, for some reason, you needed to reorder these, this is where you can do that by clicking these arrows. Say you wanted the disclaimer form to come before the confirmation of agency, you would just click the arrow to move it forward, and you see that this disclaimer has moved up a spot. I like confirmation of agency before that, so there we go. We've got those in the order that we want. Now we go down to design. So we're going to design, so this is where we put where their signatures will go. So we're going to click on this little plus arrow here to start the designing process. It's going to bring all of those documents in to the designer. Just wait a few moments for those to import. Okay, so it's loaded them all in. Okay, so you'll see that it's got all of the documents in here. Here's our purchase and sale agreement, or not purchase and sale, but our exclusive right to sell. And see, it has automatically put their names in here. Confirmation of agency, it's automatically put their names in there. Disclaimer notice, this one didn't auto-populate. It doesn't do that on the disclaimer, so we'll have to put them in. So let me show you the next thing I do. So we've got these forms. Anytime I'm doing a digital signature, just to cover myself, so somebody can't say, well, I didn't read that. For each page that is not a signature page, I want to make sure that the client initials the page. Okay, so to do that, an easy way to do that is you go over here to drag and drop on the right-hand side. You're going to click on there. And you're going to go down here to where it says Initial Pages. So you're going to click there. It's going to bring up this form here. So we want the seller, we're going to go over here and click on Seller. We want the seller, Joe Brown, to initial all of these documents. You want them to initial that. Confirmation of agency is a one-page document, so I don't typically check that one because it's going to have his signature on it. The disclaimer notice, and you'll notice that it's going to have all the pages on here, but I'll show you what I typically do is get rid of the signature page initial later because he's signing, doesn't need to sign an initial, but I'll show you how we do that. And then the KAAR SingleFamily Input form, because that will help him double check to make sure that we have everything correct on there. So now that I have those checked off, I usually want it to be on the bottom of the document, aligned in the center, and I usually put the small signature. Okay, so then I go, after all that is ready, I hit continue, and it will auto-populate those places for them, you'll see here, to initial. So after I've done that, I typically go through here just one more time just to make sure everything is okay. I go through, and then I usually drag this down here into an open area. Same thing here, just read through, make sure it looks okay. Drag that into an open area. Read through, make sure it's okay. Drag that into an open area. Read through, make sure it's okay. Drag it into the open area. And do that on each of these pages here until I get to the signature page, which is this page here. Okay, so see how this has the signatures and it has the initial on it. I don't think it needs both, so I usually go down to this initial, I right-click on it, and then I delete it. Okay, so now we're on our signature page. Now when they sign this, it'll automatically put a timestamp on it, but it's really hard to see. So what I always like to do is I like to put separate dates and times in these places. And to do that, if you go to the signature and you right-click on it, it opens up this menu. And I usually add a date stamp. If you hit that, then it takes this, you drag it over here to where the date goes, and you go again, right-click on it again, add timestamp. And I drag that into the time space. And then when they sign, or when I sign, it automatically puts the date and time in there when it's done. So then I'll go down to the seller, I'll right-click on him, add date stamp, and put it where it needs to go. And then again, add timestamp, and then drag that right where it needs to go. Okay, we go down to confirmation of agency status. Here it's already auto-populated the name and the date, so that one is good to go. We don't have to deal with that one, and we did not put the initial on that page earlier, so we don't have to get rid of anything there. Disclaimer notice, it's already got his initial at the bottom. That's good, that's good, that's good. Here is a signature page, so we're going to have him sign so we can get rid of the initial on the bottom of that one. Right-click on it and delete. But we need to get his name over here. So to do that, we're going to go back over to the right-hand side here, up here, and we're going to go to this drop-down, make sure his name shows up, and we're going to go right underneath there to drag and drop. Click on that. Grab sign here, and then you just drag it over. I'm going to drag it right over to the line where you want him to sign and let go. Then we're going to right click on that and add date stamp. And then we're going to right click on that, add timestamp. That is good to go. And we're going to go down here. This is where all our information will have already put it all in. This is just going to have his initials on it. Good, good. Have his initials on it here, all the way down here to the bottom. Well, this is a signature page, so we're going to get rid of this initial at the bottom here. And then we're going to, it's already open over here, so we're going to drag his name here for him to sign. And then we need a date over here, so we're going to right click, add date stamp. And then we need to add ourselves down there, so we'll go back up here to the drop down, get ourselves on there, and we're going to drag ourselves over, then right click, add date stamp, put that over there. That was the last of the forms, so we are good to go. If you want to, go back and just double check everything again. I usually do that just to be safe. And then after you've double checked it, make sure it all looks good. Then you want to go over here to options and save changes. That way it saves everything that you've done in here. It's all saved. Once it's saved, then you're going to go up here to next, click next, and then you're going to click send invitations. And then it will send the invitations out to the email addresses that you had put in originally when you entered in your contact. So it'll send it to Joe Brown's email address for him to sign, and it will send it to your email address for you to sign. So that is good. So it's been sent off. They will be getting it shortly in their email, and then they will be able to sign. So after they sign and after you sign, you will get an email sent to you that has the final signed docs, and you're all set. And you've got all of your listing docs to turn in. Hope this is helpful, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to give me a shout.